Welcome, everyone. Dove usually does that. And we know some of you, Dove knows some of you, I know some of you, but we don't know all of you. So before we get started, I wondered if you would each just say something about yourself, like, are you very oriented with A Course in Miracles? Are you a longtime student of A Course in Miracles and now a non-dual student? Or anything that you would like to say, just a sentence or two, so we can get to know you. And maybe even if you're coming with a question, what that question is. If there's a question in your heart, like, how can this be? Just say anything you want, but those are some ideas. Isabel, do you want to start? Because we all know you. I don't know where that sound is coming from. Can you mute yourself if you're not talking?
For me, there is traffic that comes.
No, around. It's not that. It's a sound like another kind of sound.
Okay, good. Okay, so I think I do know most of you here, as you said, and I've been a student since 2007, plodding along, and mostly a student of the course. Mm-hmm. The last few years, I've really tried to concentrate on practicing the course. But I did come here tonight with a question for Dove about, how can you work at or arrive at that trust that you have, Dove?
Beautiful. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you for that question.
That's great. We'll get to that later.
Question. Actually, it takes a long time.
Oh, that's encouraging, I guess.
Yeah, you're basically letting go of thinking you know anything, and willingness to step back and step aside and let Holy Spirit guide you, and begin to trust that everything that comes out of your mouth is really given to you by Spirit. That's why we like to say teaching is the fastest way to develop trust, because when you're listening to other people, it's not as easy to develop trust as when you take the mic and you actually say, okay, let me just talk about lesson 25 or lesson 80, and just start sharing. And you begin to recognize that because you're willing to share with your brothers and sisters, Holy Spirit is there sharing with you and for you. That's what lesson 155 is saying. Lesson 155 is, let me step back and let him lead the way. Right. Notice that follows 154, which is, I am among the teachers of God. I am among the ministers of God. And if you read the fine print, it's not fine, it's regular print. It says, you already gave your consent to be a minister of God. You already gave your consent. So this is the most natural thing that you can do, is to teach. And teaching speeds up trust.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. What a beautiful answer, Dove. Thank you.
Thank you.
And what a beautiful question. It really helps, I think, the entire community and all of us when you bring what questions you have, because other people have the same question, because we're one. Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Isabel.
Thank you.
Who wants to go next? How about Lynn?
Mm-hmm. Mighty companions, namaste. The Course in Miracles helped transform my whole life. I never thought I'd be happy. I love I'm happy. I started with the course in 1992, and I gobbled up the text like, I'm validated. And then I got to the lessons, and I got to the last lesson when I met John Monday. And there's been synchronicities like that ever since, which I am eternally grateful for. And so wonderful what's happening now. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Who wants to go next? Yes, Ralph. You're muted. You're muted.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I am not a Course in Miracles guy. I use it as a supplement. What I follow is the release technique of the Sedona method and have since the mid 90s when I was brought to it by, or of all people, St. Francis of Assisi. I don't want to go into the whole story how it worked out, but it did. And but I will go anywhere that there are people like Mr. Fishman over here. Anybody who is on the path, we're all telling the same truth and we're all coming from the same truth because there's only one truth. And the release technique, the Sedona method, was founded by Lester Levinson
Yes.
and a realized master. And if you get a chance to get a hold of this book, The Ultimate Truth, well, everything you need to know is in it. And we have, like this, there's a free support call every Wednesday for the release technique. The Sedona method has 4 of them a month. The release technique, they have a hotline that you can call from 9 to 5 or 5:30 every day. And if you have an issue, they will, whoever the instructor is, will stay on the phone with you as long as you need to get it resolved. And as a result, my life has gone from here to here to here. And I have actually had 3 or 4 experiences where I have become one with the truth of the all, with the divine one. And they only last for a little while, but they're there. So, you know, there's the proof that it works. And you keep on working with what works. And it's just fabulous. And I'm so grateful that this is available. My God, it's so fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you, Raf. And I'm so glad you mentioned Lester Levinson, because Francis Lucille's wife, Laura Lucille, I'm sure you know, is, do you know her, Raf? Are you acquainted with her?
No, I'm not actually.
She's this gorgeous being. She doesn't consider herself a teacher, so Bill has asked her to present at the big conferences, but she is a wonderful, wonderful teacher, and she's a Lester Levinson fan. So if you look up Laura Lucille, you'll find her,
Okay.
Francis's wife. Yeah.
Will do.
She's a non-dual teacher and a gorgeous being. So I'm so glad to know you're of that ilk. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Who would
I
like
just
to go
want-
up? Yeah.
I just want to say a couple of words about Lester Levinson. How he got into this is he was told by his doctors that he had a death decree, that he had very little time to live. And he actually turned it around. And not only did he live, he created this entire wonderful path, which Rafi is a witness to. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Kathleen, do you want to go next?
Kathleen?
Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself. I've been a student of the course since 1995, and I just recently finished Lisa's 40-day yesterday, and it's really serendipitous. I've been looking for a group for quite a while. I've moved, and I just haven't really felt connected or led to anything. So this is great. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
Rico, do you want to go next? Oh, wait, Cindy, do you want to?
Yeah, because I'm going to have dinner. So if you want my update, let me do it.
Want your update?
Well,
Yes.
if you want me to introduce myself.
Yes.
Sure. And then pass me the controls in case I need them.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere, but
Oh,
you
okay.
are now.
Okay, that's good. You can hear us.
You're now a co-host. I just I didn't want to talk and chew at the same time.
Okay, great. Please go.
I'm Cindy, and most people here know me, I think. I only started officially studying the course in 2018. So, but for some reason, as I did the course that first year, I became the course. I don't know how to put it any other way. And so I was working as a teacher before I finished the workbook lessons. And I worked for the Teachers of God Foundation. I worked for Lisa. Kathleen just finished the 40-day group. She probably has seen my name once or twice. But I'm also, I'm a student of, I don't even want to call it non-duality, student of truth, right? I'm studying and fairly close to accepting my ordination at Awakening Together. I'm diving deep into all the teachings of Regina. But I love them all. There's different spaces of the I am and the presence and stuff that is just lighting me up from the inside out. So mostly I'm just happy. And truth is truth, and I recognize it wherever I go. And that's my update.
Thank you. How
Thank you,
beautiful.
Cindy.
We're so happy to have you here.
Oh, and I am a master, not the release technique, but I studied all the master courses of the Sedona method with Hal Dworkin. So I would dive deep into Lester Levinson long before I knew the course. Good 20 years ago, I had all the cassette tapes and the CDs and was a part of his master training course. So I know a little bit about Lester and the Sedona method and love it all. Use it like it's been programmed into my space. So happy for no reason.
I love that. Yeah. Thanks, Cindy. Have a good dinner. Mary, do you want to go? Oh, Raf, do you have your hand up? Did you want to say something? Oh, I don't know. No. Okay, Mary, did you want to go next?
Sure. I apologize. I was a few minutes late. I have a contractor here in the house, and I'm checking with him. So I'm married to, I've been a student of the
It's hard to
course
hear
in
you. Something's going on.
1990, somewhere in there.
Mary?
The sound is not right. The sound.
Yes.
You're unmuted, but it's all muffled.
Okay.
Can you get either further away or closer to your mic? I don't know which it is.
Now, chances are, Mary, if you turn your video off, we'll be able to hear you. Your internet connection's not good.
Okay, thanks, Cindy.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
A little bit.
Turn the internet. I can video off. Okay. I've been a student since like 1990. Explored some different things over the years. A little fuzzy right now. I've been cleaning walls and doing manual stuff all day, so my body seems a little tired. Found the 40 days through Cindy, I guess, a year and a half ago. So I've done it 40 days 3 times. Then started following the Teachers of God. I'm also a Reiki master, and do a little bit with that, not a whole lot anymore. So just diving into all the different groups and book studies that.
Yeah, I think I missed some of it. Did you say you are a Reiki, into Reiki? Did I hear that correct?
Yes, I'm a Reiki master.
And you're into Teachers of God. And did you say something about the building all day?
Oh, I said I'm doing a lot of rehab on my house.
Okay, okay.
Cleaning walls and moving stuff all day. So.
Moving stuff. So are you tired tonight? Because I'm going to ask everybody to put a word in the chat about how you're feeling right now.
Physically, I'm tired.
Physically tired. And everybody else, as you have a moment to check into yourself, please add a word in the chat for how you're feeling right now or what you're coming with. Lynn puts in joyful. Okay, so who have we? Thank you, Mary. Pat, can we hear from you?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I've been studying the course since about 1985, but it's only in this last, actually 2 years, because my husband and I study it together, but we, 2 years ago or so, we opened up to connecting with other people. We were like, this is just us two. And so as soon as we did that, our understanding, and I don't really think at this point understanding is the word. Our experience of it has really expanded exponentially. And so I don't know how I found, I don't know how I found Lisa. I don't know how I found Cindy. I can't remember, but somebody said something, and then I went this way, that way, and there, and here we are right now. Somebody said something about this book called Healing the Unhealed Mind. Wow. So I'm just, when something, things come at me, I guess I loved what Dove said the other meeting was that, what could you not accept if you knew that every single little thing was planned for your good by a loving God? That's where my trust comes in, because, I trust that I'm being led to whatever is the next step in my journey, and I trust that I'm already there. And by the way, my husband and I we study together, and we write songs together. We've written a few miracle songs, and this is really the most important thing in our life. And I thank you very much for this meeting, both Dove and Rosalyn. I've been, kind of like a fly on the wall, because this is, as I said, a very busy time of my day. But I've been listening, and I've been really benefiting. So thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
it's beautiful to have you here. I'm only seeing 9 people, and there are 14 here. Who am I missing?
Hi, it's Leanne here.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm out painting the pool fence at my son-in-law's house, so I'm working while I'm listening. I found the course a long time ago. It's been one of those books that's been on my shelf, along with lots of other things, and it's really only in the last couple of years that it's I've studied it. My husband sits and listens to morning lessons with me that Lisa does. We've just done the 40-day course, and I'm just feeling so blessed to be in this community, because as some of you know, we live on a small island, and don't have the opportunity to do attend study groups and things like that. So Zoom's it, and getting up at 1:30 in the morning is perfectly fine by me to join with you all.
Wow, thank you so much. Wow, 1:30 in the morning to join. That's a commitment. Thank you so much. Shannon, did you want to share?
Death
Hang
with
on.
my own weapon.
No, not right now.
I
Thank
thought
you.
my 4 daughters she might use their dad.
Okay, that's fine. So did I miss anybody else?
From a medieval bottle.
There's Rico. Rico?
Yes, Doug. My name is Rico Cruz. I guess I could claim the rookie spot here. I've just been introduced to Course in Miracles about a year ago, a little more. I try to hold on to my newness, but my adopted mentor, Cindy Krupp, tries to steal my newness from me. She said, how long are you going to be new? Every time I say that. And I said, until I finish the 365 lessons for the first time in my life. And we go back and forth about that. She's not actually mentoring me, but I adopted her to mentor me. She mentors me by her lifestyle, her choices, who she is, what she is, and I'm attracted to that. But I'm brand new. I consider myself brand new. I come from a 12-step background. I was looking for something just a little more on the spiritual side, and I happened to run into Lisa's 40-day program about 4 times ago, and I took it each time. And I got interested, and I started hanging around Teachers of God Foundation and taking different things in different places. And I'm just coming along. I'm dyslexic, so I have a very difficult time with the text. So I just stick with the lessons and the manual for teachers, and I stay there. And I'm involved in Gentle Awakening with Susan Telford, and I'm just taking courses here and there as I can until I can get a grip. But I'm good to go. I just need some information, but I'm a funny guy. I've had information before. Information without application doesn't do me any good. I need to be able to make it a practical experience. And you guys have introduced me to a direct experience. So now I'm even more motivated. So I'm just a student of life trying to move to become one. I'm slowly cutting off my problem with separation from God that slowly drifted away. And now I'm hanging out with people like you guys so I can gain more knowledge and more direct experience. I'm looking for direct experience. And I've seen both you and Doug doing different things, and I'm attracted to that. But I'm enrolled in an 8-week course with Tamara, and I got to leave at 5 because there's 3 more weeks to the course. But after that, I'm going to come back if it's okay and hang out with you guys for however long you're here. So I'm glad to be here, and I send you love, light, and well-being from my heart to you.
It's so beautiful, Rico. And it's wonderful to cultivate and hold on to that beginner's mind. The Course
Thank
tells
you.
us, and all wisdom teachers say, be like a child, be open. The minute you know something, you don't know anything. And when you don't know anything, you're open to knowing everything. Right, Dove? Do you have something to say about that?
Well, yeah. Well, that's my mantra lesson. Lesson 25 is I don't know what anything is for. By my letting go of thinking I know something, my mind opens up to really receive true wisdom. But if I think I know anything, my mind is closed and the ego wants to be right. Of course, the ego knows what everything is for because he gave meaning to everything. But by lesson 1, nothing I see here means anything. So basically, the course is a letting go or an unlearning process rather than learning anything. Pat mentioned one thing, and she was talking about trust and acceptance. And actually, in answer to that original question that you asked, Isabel, about how do you get to trust, actually, the real thing is not teaching. The real thing is acceptance. So exactly as that line in the course, paragraph 18 of lesson 135, what can you not accept? If you but knew that everything that seems to happen, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned for you. So the ego doesn't accept anything. It says, oh, I'm going to do it my way. I'm right. And I don't care what you say. The kindest thing that you can do for yourself is saying, I don't know. Actually, that's what Socrates said. He says, if I am the wisest man, it's because I know I don't know anything about anything. That's how you open your mind to receive real knowledge. Because it says enlightenment is a recognition, not a change. So you're not learning anything, but if you stop thinking that you do, stop learning, you begin to recognize what's already here. What's already here is truth, is union. I need do nothing. I think the other thing that's helpful is that thing on page 20. It's on page 28 of the textbook. It wasn't included in the original. It's in chapter 2, page 28. It's in italics. And the original writing that was given to Helen didn't include that. Later during the dictation, there was a time that Bill Tedford had to make a talk, had to give a speech in Princeton in front of his colleagues, other therapists. And he wasn't too sure about it. He really wasn't looking forward to it. So Jesus said to Helen, give this to Bill and tell him that everything's going to be okay. So if you look on page 28, the italics is what he gave to Bill. Yeah, and I see that Isabel has it. And what it really says is, I'm here only to be truly helpful, which is true. We're all here to be truly helpful. I'm glad to represent him who sent me. I'm here to represent the Holy Spirit who has me here. I'm stepping back and allowing the Holy Spirit to speak to me and through me. I don't have to know what to say, and I don't have to know what to do. That's part of the italics. I don't have to know what to say or what to do, for he who sent me will give me what to say and what to do. And for those teachers who show up at ACIM, gather the first and second time, and they always do that. Actually, Gary Bernard, who teaches all over the world, when they ask Gary, do you want to lead us in a prayer? That's the prayer he leads people, and he starts off with that. Because basically, you're saying that I'm not an ego. I don't know what to say or what to do. Ego always knows what to say and what to do. And Jesus says your only mission in this world is to demonstrate that you're not an ego. Since the ego already knows what to say, to demonstrate that you're not an ego, you don't know what to say. And by saying that, everything is given to you. Everything. And it takes time to develop that trust to know that everything is given to you. Yeah. So thanks for all those questions. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Dove. And I want to just, before we continue, I want to mention what Jacqueline said in the chat, because it's so beautiful. And in all of my classes this week, that has come up, and you're not alone, talking in groups. And it follows with what Dove was saying. The personal I worries about how we sound and how will we be received and will we be judged. And what's become so clear is for everyone that has any part of that, and I think that's pretty much everyone, is that we're judging ourselves first. And then it becomes very hard to speak because we think everybody's going to do what we've done, which is the personal judgments vary, but it doesn't matter. They're all judgments. So I really appreciate your vulnerability. And we've been talking about portals and doors to oneness. And I think you're putting that in the chat is your door to allowing that to be disappear, because there's no shame in having that. We're all one mind, one small self as well as the larger mind. And so we connect with that, and we connect with you, and we're free as you are free. So thank you for that. And Dove, shall I take it into an exercise?
Sure, please.
All right. So let's start with that personal self that we were just referring to. And whatever you came in with, most people came in with positive feelings, but whatever you came in with, maybe it was anxiety. What are they going to do tonight? Or maybe it's something left from your day. And particularly it's useful if you think of just, it doesn't need to be big, but anything that gave you tension or stress, even a momentary idea that you had to come up with something to say rather than spirit. Any moment of separation, tension, stress, think of that moment for a minute. Remember it. And then we're going to do a different process than we've done before, because I never remember what I did and it will always be different. But we're going to be carried today. But as we move away from this tension that we each had, just a momentary, you saw something that was unpleasant, you felt something, give it a number, 0 to 10, how unpleasant was it? And now we're going to use the word flow to create the knowing that we are energy, that we are light, and that flow is going to pass through our bodies as physical light. We're going to see it, we're going to know it, it's going to be in our heads and in our necks and in our arms and in our legs and in through our feet and down into the ground and down into Mother Earth that supports us. And then as we move upward through our bodies, we're going to go out through the third eye. And we're going to go out into the air in the room. And knowing that the air in the room is connected to the air outside beyond the walls in your room. And the air outside is connected to the sky, even if clouds cover the sky. And the sky is connected to the galaxies, and the galaxies relate to the stars and the moon. And all is in the flow. And the flow includes us. And if we think of the flow as the peace that holds us, the flow is our home. And when you leave the home in your world, it's still your home. You can always come back to it, and it's always the same. And this oneness, this peace, this flow is always the same. Every time we come back to it, it's not personal. It has no opinions. It's accepting. It welcomes us. It has no problems. And it can be our background, our home for meeting problems when we come back into the world, perceived problems. Because when we bring in the flow, the problems can disappear. That's the peace that passes all understanding. Doesn't mean we don't interact in the world. If we touch a hot stove, there's an owie. If we see cruelty in the world, we're supposed to flinch, because that is the duality of the world. But we can bring in our home and take home with us wherever we go, just like we do with our physical home. And so now come back into the room. And if you are willing, enter with eyes that are soft, that come from the flow. See if you can open your eyes to the other people and the room that you're in, and know that you bring the peace of home, the oneness of home with you. And before we go too far away, bring that home to that irritation and see, as you look at it from your inner eye, has the number changed? And then come back with the presence of yourself as a puzzle piece, with all of your correct edges, all the edges that you are from your personality and from your lived experience, makes you the perfect puzzle piece for the whole. You fit perfectly, and will put you in the puzzle piece of oneness. And now we are the one puzzle together. Thank you. Over to you, Dove.
Oh, that was beautiful. Truly. Thank you so much. As you were sharing, up came some thoughts about the early lessons of the Course in Miracles, where he's saying, I'm taking a look at like lesson 4. He says, these thoughts do not mean anything. He says the exact same thing in lesson 10. In lesson 10, he says, my thoughts do not mean anything. He says, my thoughts do not mean anything. So the funniest thing, getting back to what Jacqueline said, she said, I feel a little anxiety speaking to a group. If you hang out in miracle communities long enough, you're going to hear the following sentence: you can't get it wrong. You can't, no matter what you say, is always perfect. That's because our thoughts do not mean anything. The thought that what I'm saying means something is just the ego saying, well, my thoughts do mean something. Now, when you're going with the flow, it's like if you put your hand, if you ever work with wood and you rubbed your hand with the grain, it's a very nice feeling. You're going with the grain. If you're going against the grain, you can even pick up some splinters. Going against the grain is another word for resistance. So in this world, we do resist going with the flow. Going with the flow just means that we are all one. I really need say nothing. I really need do nothing. We are one. Our Father already created the universe, created peace, created the eternal. We're not asked to do anything except to be peaceful, be happy. God's will for me is perfect happiness. I share God's will for my happiness. So in lesson 66, it says, God being love is also happiness. God gave me my function. My function is happiness. My function and happiness are one and the same. So I need do nothing to be happy. I don't have to say anything to be happy. That's who I am. I am happy. The only difference between heaven, which is always here, he says in the Course, he says, those who wait for heaven have merely closed their eyes. It's already here. The only difference between heaven and this world is a thing called judgment, which is exactly what Jacqueline was talking about. I hope I'm not judged, and I know that people in this room won't judge. There is a I think last time I had a slide here, but I'll say it again. This is in judgment and the authority problem, chapter 3, section 6. It starts off, you have no idea of the tremendous release and the deep peace that comes from meeting yourself and your brothers totally without judgment. Now, most of us kind of take a look at meeting your brothers totally without judgment is probably a very powerful thing to do. Imagine not judging your brother at all. What a release that would be. But the real release is meeting yourself, is not judging yourself, is allowing yourself to be exactly as God created you, as perfect. The judgment of the ego is that we're not perfect, that we must have done something wrong because we're separate. I'm a body. And if you're a body, God doesn't create bodies. So I guess you've done something wrong to show up as a body. But actually, we're not a body. We like to think the mind is within the body. No, the body is within the mind of God. And yes, we have a body, which is our costume, which is the way that we get into this classroom. You can't get into the classroom without a costume, without, wearing something so that people know who you are. Well, hi, I'm Kathleen, I'm Jacqueline, I'm this, I'm that. So we all have names assigned to us, But when it's time to let go, it's like getting a new suit of clothes. You just let go of the old clothes. And, the truth is we never left home. That's the accepting the atonement. We never left home. So we never left heaven. And heaven is just a place where there is no judgment. There is no judgment in heaven. God doesn't judge. We judge ourselves. That's why we still live in a little fear that, well, if I'm judging me, I mean, others are judging me too. And as Jacqueline pointed out, but I'll trust that that's not true. And yeah, I think that's why people do hang out in miracle communities. But as Ken Wapnick, who was my teacher, said, don't always hang out where things are very comfortable. Hang out where things are not all that comfortable, where you're a little discomfort. The discomfort comes from the people that do judge you, that do push your buttons. But they are your saviors in Course in Miracles terms, because you're here to remember the truth of what you are, and they're going to push your buttons. Now, the truth of who you are is just going to be peaceful, to have the peace of God, to love your brother as yourself. It doesn't matter what your brother thinks. Your brother is you. He's just doing exactly what it is that you asked him to do. If you read Dream Roles, chapter 29, section 4, it says, no one in your dream, no one in your community, no one in your household, place where you work, can do anything to you except the role that you assigned to them. It's like you're the Hollywood producer, director, screenwriter of your own movie. And that's exactly what Jesus says. You're the dreamer of the dream. And the people in your dream are the perfect people to get you to remember the truth of what God created. God creates all the same, equal. Rosalyn, do you want to say something?
Yes, you had such a wealth of sharing there, Dove. And I was wondering if we could all interact over the idea of being comfortable or allowing ourselves discomfort. And what does that bring up in us? If I'm uncomfortable, and let's say my usual way gets me the usual ending. So I used to be a compulsive eater. And the binging always ended the same way. There were never any changes. It ended in misery. What was comfortable was overeating. When my daughter first passed away, it was actually very comfortable to suffer because I was doing the stages of grief. That's what people expected of a mother who lost her daughter unexpectedly. So I could let it rip, and I was suffering, and it was comfortable. What was uncomfortable was when I got shaken into this millisecond. And the truth was that in this millisecond, I wasn't suffering. The past and future, yeah, I could bring it up right now. If I start telling a story about the future and how the Christmas and she won't be there and the birthday and the this and the that, I could bring it on. If I went to the past, I could bring it on. Those could be comfortable. They fit in society. They fit into what's expected. So where in our lives are we being asked? I was asked to speak the truth and start speaking from that place of this radical now where there's no sorry. What about you? Is it coming to a group where you might need to share? Is that what's uncomfortable? And then that's your next step, to let go of judgment? Or, you don't have to tell a big story like I did, or you can, but name a subject, if you would, like when I go to work or when I'm with my family, feel a push to be comfortable, or is there a quiet voice that's pushing me or suggesting I do it another way? and be uncomfortable doing it. Anybody have any subjects to bring up, any arenas that this comes up in?
Rosalyn, can I interrupt for just a
Yes.
second, or at least Jacqueline has commented that she'd love to share her story, and I don't want to ignore that.
Wait, she said that
wrote
in the chat? How did you know?
yeah. Well,
Oh,
because
thank
I
you.
read it in
Thank you
the
for
chat.
watching the chat. I did
So,
see.
um,
And please here, if we don't have wonderful Cindy noticing that, Dove and I are not experts at watching the chat while we talk. So please just put your mic on, interrupt and wave your hands. Thank you. Thank you.
And the
Cindy.
other thing is, Pat mentioned in her intro about her songs. I have a couple of them on YouTube. I posted the links, but if there's 2 minutes at the end of the meeting, I'd love to share Pat and Pete's music.
Oh, would you? Thank you so much. I didn't know what that share was. Thank you, Cindy. Oh, so Jacqueline, yes, please, you have the floor.
I tend to, I joke sometimes. So I even though I still have this stupid ego self that gets sometimes anxious when I'm speaking in front of other people, I was joking that I know you won't judge me because you're all Course in Miracles people.
Yeah, that is a joke.
So,
Yeah.
so anyway, but I came to the course through Marianne Williamson back in 92, watching that Oprah show, going out right away to get a return to love. And but the thing was, as I read the book, it was by my bed, it was my Bible at the time, and I had all her tapes every time she came out with a new tape, and I listened to her voraciously. But it wasn't until I gave the book, The Return to Love, to my best friend, who we both met in college. We were raised Christian scientists, but did not live a Christian Science lifestyle, you could say. So I gave it to her, and then she thought, I've got to find out what this Course in Miracles thing is all about. And she got the book. And then she said, Jackie, you have to get a Course in Miracles. So then I got the book. She found somehow, because we were living in the Bay Area, the CMC Center, Tony Panicello Center. And then I started taking classes. So I studied the course for about 2 years at the time. And then I'll try to make this story short as possible, but I ended up dating this man, and I became pregnant. The pregnancy was the most spiritual experience I've ever had, because I completely lived in the now, just like the fetus inside my body, which was the most spiritual thing I'd ever experienced. But I stopped studying the course. Eventually, we moved up to Canada because he's Canadian. I went through, well, that was in 2007, 6. Fast forward, we went through this horrific divorce and custody situation. And there's still struggles going on now. And I went through, what do they call it in Catholicism? The depths of despair, the deep night of the soul, the deep night of the soul, you could call it. And then a year ago, I am looking at my news feed, and some people, therapists who had worked with me said, who knew the course, because I always asked people, do you know the Course in Miracles? Even though I wasn't like studying it anymore. Or I mean, I never said I'm not going to be studying the course anymore, because the truth is the truth, but I wasn't engaging and active. And then, but I had some therapists who said, I think you need to start studying the course again. And then, miracle of miracles, I'm back in the Bay Area. It's in the middle of the night, and I'm watching a Facebook video of the course being taught by my old teacher, Rudy Colombini. That's who I studied with for 2 years. and he's still giving the course, just doing the course lessons, just like, so I called Rudy. I said, I got to start studying the course again. And I started doing it. And so it's been another year now that I've been back, and it's been miraculous, just lots of blessings, but I still have things to work through, but yeah, I'll get there.
Thank you for that story. Wow. It's awesome to know that whole trajectory of what you went through and where you came to and how you're back, and your presence is exquisite. I can feel the light in you. I see the light in you. It's beautiful. I'm so glad you're back. Dov, do you have anything to say?
That was a beautiful story. Thank you, Jacqueline. Yeah, the willingness for the truth is really what the course is about. There's only two purposes in life. One is to just get by and solve your problems, and I call that survival. And the other is you really want the truth. And I think the people who immerse themselves in the course, and you kind of see them. I was listening to Pat earlier, and she could tell that she and her husband are like immersed and dedicated to the truth. If you really want the truth, it's going to be given to you, because that's why you're here. The only reason for being here in this world is to remember the truth, to recognize the truth that you're really not here. It says in the course, God is not absent from any time, from any time, from any space or any state. So in all of time and space and in any state, God is. But what is God? Is God something different than me? God is oneness, union. We are one with all. That's the heaven without any judgment. In heaven, judgment's impossible. There's no one to judge because we are one. Here, it seems that we're separate and different, and I can judge something that seems to be separate and different. But we're not separate and different. We are one.
Lynn has her hand up. Thank you,
Lynn?
Lynn.
So good to be here. I just have to share, I have a new boyfriend. He doesn't have a body. But I'm in love with him. And I remember reading his book, How Can I Help, when I went to seminary with Rabbi Gelderman, but I was never really into him. And I turn on Ram Dass, and he's saying the exact same things we're saying in the spiritual community. And my God, he said, we tried to tell him in the 60s, but then they elected Reagan and Bush. And this was talking in the 90s before his stroke. And he says, either we're going to Armageddon or we're going to the age of Aquarius. And he said, but I paraphrase, no matter which way, just love. And I love his far out. Far out, I just wanted to share that.
Beautiful, thank you. Does anybody want to name the subject? Because I'm a betting woman, and I bet if you would be willing to say that the place that I'm uncomfortable, for example, just to name it, is my family, my work, you don't have to be telling a big private story unless you want to, but just by putting it out there, there is the release, the willingness to have the peace of God come to that subject. And you might need to be uncomfortable in that position that you're being asked to take. Does anybody want to name an arena where there is discomfort, or where you act in a comfortable way when your voice is you're hearing the voice to do it differently?
I would say when I'm in a place where I don't know a soul, it's just total strangers to me, and for whatever reasons I'm there, I walk into the room for about 30 seconds, I'm uncomfortable. And then after that, I'm okay. But when I first enter, I'm like watching the room. And about 30 seconds later, I'm like, I'm here. It's okay. But that
That's
first 30
beautiful.
seconds is a little anxiety.
That's beautiful. Will you look for that to be different the next time you walk in and come back and tell me if it is?
Well, it has to be because there's no more strangers in my life.
Yes. Yes.
But I will.
Yes. Thank you, Rico.
Actually, I was in one today, Monday, Tuesday. I was in one Sunday. My wife likes to go to church. I'm not really a church guy. I like to do this. And but happy wife's a happy life, so they say. So I tried to go with her sometime and I went, and she knows everybody. I don't know, so a little uncomfortable for me. And 30 seconds, a minute later, I'm okay. I sort of ground myself. I just say, Holy Spirit, you know what I'm feeling. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mary. She put in family. So now we have a group that doesn't know us. Anybody want to put anything else in the chat before we wind up? Just as a place, if you know it, just to represent your willingness to be used by Spirit for what wants to happen. Beautiful. All right.
Cindy,
So
do you
can I,
want to?
can I do that?
Yes.
Okay,
go ahead.
here we go. Pat, I'm gonna do the song that you recorded for me, okay?
I let go of my judgments, let go of my fears, let go of my chains, and I am free. I become one of God's children. I feel His love for me. I have been given everything I need. Love is the way. Love is the way. Love is the way. I walk in gratitude. Love is the way. I see the light in you. Love is the way. I walk in gratitude. I reach out to my brothers, reach out to forgive, reach out for help to understand. There is just one way to heaven. You can't get in alone. We have to walk and sing in hand in hand. Love is the way. 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 I walk in gratitude. Love is the way. Love is the way. I see the light in you. Love is the way. I walk in gratitude. Love is the way. 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 I walk in gratitude. Love is the way. Love is the way. I see the light in you. Love is the way. I walk in gratitude.
So beautiful. Wow. Thank you. We have two hands up. Isabel and Lynn, do you have something you wanted to say? Your hand is up. Maybe you didn't mean it.
Oh, I didn't take my hand down.
Okay. Isabel, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just wanted, yes, I just wanted to say that what bothers me is when someone seems to be I feel they're forcing their ideas. That's when I feel uncomfortable.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's join Isabel and hold Isabel in that comfort, that peace of the oneness. And let's see if she has a different experience from spirit when someone has an idea they wish to push on her, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Thank you, Isabel. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And we join with you for a new experience.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you.
And Pat, that's just gorgeous what you and your husband produced together. Wow. There's words in the chat thanking you. Thank you, Cindy. Deb, do you want to take us home with a ending here?
Not really. I
No?
think I think that we are home. I mean, that is such a great song.
There you go.
I was thinking we ought to have that song every single week
Yes.
to either
That'll
open
be our
up.
ending. That'll
Yeah,
be our
to,
ending.
yeah, to either open up or to close the meeting. Thank
Wow.
you so much. That was like
Beautiful.
such a super song. I mean, how could you not feel the love?
Thank you. It is going to be our ending. Thank you, Cindy. That's fabulous. Thank you, Pat. Yay, everybody. Bye. Bless you. Thank you.